Today, not a lazy person has heard about Jupiter's satellite Europa. This moon is known to be covered with a layer of ice up to 24 kilometers thick, and it is likely that there is liquid water under the ice. Researchers believe that because of the thickness of the ice, underwater inhabitants can be protected from solar radiation and asteroid impacts. Recall that earlier NASA announced the launch of a new mission to Jupiter's satellite Europa in 2025. The presence of liquid water, as researchers believe, makes the satellite of the gas giant potentially habitable. But what creatures could swim beneath the ice? According to Monica Grady, Chancellor of the University of Liverpool, it is likely that Jupiter's satellite Europa is home to advanced alien life, something resembling octopuses. According to Professor Grady, life forms on Europa may be much more complex than those we could potentially find on Mars. But why? Some scientists believe that life has hopped from world to world within the solar system, thanks to bits of rock thrown into space by the impacts of comets or asteroids. Indeed, there is an entire theory of panspermia. But even if this theory is correct, what are the odds that the supposed pioneers were able to reach Jupiter's satellite Europa or Saturn's satellite Enceladus, which also, like Europa, is an icy world? Purdue University geophysicist Jay Malash tackled the question and presented the results during a talk at the annual fall meeting of the American Geophysical Union, according to Space.com. Malash used computer models to trace the fate of 100,000 simulated Martian particles that were ejected into space by an asteroid impact. He modeled 3 different ejection velocities, 1, 3, and 5 kilometers per second. As a result, to get to Enceladus, tiny particles needed 4.5 billion years, and on the moon of Saturn got only 0.002% to 0.04% of the number of those particles that got to Earth. And Jupiter's satellite Europa received between 0.04% and 0.07% of the particles from our planet. We know that about 1 ton of Martian rocks the size of a fist or larger fall to Earth each year. Using this figure, Malash calculated that Europa receives about 0.4 grams of Martian material per year, while Enceladus receives only 2 to 4 milligrams. These results might seem favorable for the spread of life. After all, exposure to microbes may be enough to turn Europa or Enceladus from uninhabited to inhabited. However, there are other factors that are not so optimistic. The fact is that meteorites with Earth microbes will take at least 2 billion years to reach Enceladus. Microbes are certainly hardy, but not that hardy. This means that if life is indeed found on Europa or Enceladus, it is likely to be of local origin. According to Professor Grady, life on Mars, Europa, and Enceladus, assuming there is any, will be very different from each other. Thus, the inhabitants of Mars are likely to be bacteria, and we will find them probably under the surface of the planet. But on Europa and Enceladus, in her opinion, local life forms may be much more complex. Grady believes that on Europa, creatures can live in the oceans under a hard ice shell up to 24 kilometers thick. Scientists have long suspected the existence of these deep subsurface oceans on Jupiter's moon, and perhaps even life. What's more, NASA announced in August that it was completing final designs for the Europa Clipper spacecraft, which will search for signs of life on Europa. According to Professor Grady, it is likely that life exists elsewhere in the Milky Way, especially since humans have yet to explore all the stars in our vast galaxy. In addition, she considers it highly likely that the life we might find, whether in the Milky Way or beyond, will be made up of the same elements we are. Yet, the question of whether we will ever be able to make contact with representatives of extraterrestrial civilizations is still open. It is important to note, however, that there are currently no real or credible alien signals received from space. The efforts of researchers are currently focused on the study of planets and satellites of the solar system, which is actually quite logical since our technology does not yet allow us to travel far from home. As for the existence of other humanoid aliens in the solar system, Grady and other researchers aren't too optimistic. Again, not surprising. Do you think the icy moons of Saturn and Jupiter are habitable? Thank you for watching this video to the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to learn more about space.